Hello!
This is
Finish
Big. I'm Mark.
And I'm Joe.
And we are listening our way through all of Big Finish in release order.
All of Big
Everything.
Finish.
Not just Doctor Who.
Never has that been more relevant than this episode of Finish Big.
It's a one-off this time. We're just doing...
Can I just say before we even go into anything, what genius thought up the title Finish Big? Because I swear to God, people are just typing in Big Finish and getting our podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Genius. And what podcast chose to copy, but not quite copy, the Big Finish font for the logo?
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh, absolute genius. Do you know what? It's not quite similar enough so it could be in any hot water.
I was going to say, yeah, I haven't really thought about that, have we? But never mind.
This is fun. Are you kidding me? We spent half the time waxing lyrical about Big Finish. And I can't help but notice, it could be a total coincidence, you know, but their sales seem to... Well, you have a sale a day.
They have a lot of sales now.
But their sales sometimes marry up with what we're talking about.
They do.
Have you noticed?
How funny.
I wonder if Fly Me to the Moon will go on... Oh, no, you didn't. You say it was always on sale.
I think it's... Okay, so we're talking about this one-off random release that...
Thank fuck it was a one-off.
called Fly Me to the Moon. I think if you're a hardcore Big Finisher... Is that what they're called?
Hardcore Big Finish.
A hardcore finisher.
This has the highest quotient of sex in Big Finish, so you've got to be a hardcore Big Finisher to listen to this.
Then you know what Fly Me to the Moon is. If not, okay, I'll just do the facts first and then we'll talk about it. Okay.
Off you go.
So Fly Me to the Moon was released in November 2001, starring Sylvester McCoy and India Fisher, written by Mark Brailsford, and live effects performed by Nicholas Briggs and a bucket of water.
What does that mean? Is it Nicholas Briggs
and a bucket of water?
Is it Nicholas Briggs with a bucket of water, or is it? Are they basically saying the effects were down to two people, Nicholas Briggs and a bucket of water?
I think so. Okay, so on the Big Finish website, this is under Big Finish Presents and Big Finish Special Releases.
Are there other Big Finish Presents then?
This is not a sci-fi thing. This is a comedy play, and the recording was done live at the Comedia in Brighton in 2000.
And in 2023... Mark and I visited the Comedia in Brighton, and I have to say, to be this close to where Fly Me to the Moon was put on 22 years previous, it was a great honour, wasn't it?
So, I mean, Big Finish have
you been into the Comedia?
No, I haven't.
It's very nice. I went and saw The Feeling in there. They did. That was when they were huge as well. And they said, no, we want to go to Brighton, sort of where it all started. We're going to do a little concert. And there's only about 200 of us in there. It was really nice.
Well, this is very unusual for Big Finish. They're branching out. I mean, they've branched out before with non-Doctor Who stuff, with a bit of Earth Search here and there. And
Dalek Empire.
Well,
that's sort of Doctor Who themed.
But I don't know. I mean, Jason Hay-Ellery had a bit of a hand in writing this. I don't know if he went to like the Edinburgh Festival or something like that as well.
This is additional material.
He does have a background in... He doesn't just do Big Finish, does he? He does like... He has background in like theatre and sort of West End shows and things like that. So I don't know where this sort of came from.
As far as I know, Jason Hay-Ellery is a bit of a business tycoon.
Yes.
He's got this sort of empire and he's got money coming in from all directions.
Yeah, he should be on Dragon's Den.
Well, he don't need to be. He could be a dragon.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that's a dragon?
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. But the audio version, pitch your spin-offs to Jason Hay-Ellery.
So I don't know. And this is a little bit of a sidestep into our BBV era because it's having something that's nothing to do with Doctor Who, but you're sticking a couple of Doctor Who actors in it and hoping that your same audience will buy whatever.
Well, didn't you say this is always on sale? So I'm assuming that was not a success.
I just remember it being talked about a lot. It was always like £1 in the sale and never like... It's out of print now.
Do you realise...
You can't even get the download, I don't think.
Can I tell you something? Do you realise, I get paid £11 an hour, right? So £1 is 1/11th of an hour's work that I'll do. I'm telling you this, after listening to Fly Me to the Moon, doing that 1/11th of an hour's work was not worth it.
Okay. So, I mean, I had never heard this before at all. I just knew its reputation. You hadn't heard of it either.
No, Jesus.
And I'm sure...
I listened to Jack Shanahan, who used to be quite big on Big Finish. He'd never heard of it either.
So I'm sure a lot of our listeners might not have heard this either. I'm just going to read the actual synopsis so we've got a bit of an idea before we talk about it.
Go for it.
Fly Me to the Moon. Boy meets girl. Boy and girl get therapy.
I can just say, that tagline is so atrocious. It's so terrible. That basically tells you everything you need to know about boy meets girl, boy and girl go to therapy. I mean, is that even funny?
A new audio comedy recorded in front of a live audience at the Comedia in Brighton.
Oh, can I say, though, the live audience are having a great time. They're laughing their heads off, clapping at every joke. I think they're easily pleased in Brighton.
Tess and Mickey are a couple having problems with their relationship. Their answer? Go and see a counsellor. Unfortunately, this may turn out to be a very bad idea. The counsellor has problems of his own. His marriage to Inga, a blonde beauty 30 years his junior, for instance. Can the counsellor help Tess and Mickey? Does he really know the secrets of a good relationship? Or is he more interested in his Cub Scout of the Year award? So we've got this cast. Right. So
is that going to entice you in, reading that synopsis?
So Sylvester McCoy is the counsellor. And we have India Fisher and Mark Brailsford.
Yeah, writer stroke actor.
As Tess and Mickey, the couple. And I don't know what I would like to find out, and I probably should have tried to do some research. I don't know if there's anything out there on this.
I looked on the internet, there's very little about this.
I don't know if this was done as in front of an audience and the cast are just holding their scripts Hancock's Half Hour style in front of an audience.
How dare you compare this to Hancock?
Or are they acting it out as a play on stage, like a fast where she's actually lying in the bed, or is she lying in the bed?
Listening to it,
I think
it sounds like it's being performed.
I think it might be actually performed. Yeah,
are laughing along with the gags, unless it was just put on as an audio. But I don't know why would you do that live at the Comedia?
Because they do that, like hitchhikers do a tour, don't they? All the cast, they stand in front of the microphones and do that. Colin Baker and Terry Malloy were doing that. Sherlock Holmes, where they just stand up and perform it, holding the scripts rather than the play. I'm not sure how this was done.
Well, all I'm going to say is this, yeah. In one sequence, and we're going to talk about this, India Fisher is pleasuring herself with an electronic dildo. Wait, if I had to watch that in a theatre, well, I'll be walking out at that point. I'll go off and get some chips down the Belgian chip shop.
You've got Sylvester McCoy in this. And you've got India Fisher hot.
We need to talk about that as well.
She's recently been Charlie, so she is Big Finish's golden princess at the moment, isn't she? Yeah. Being in everything. I mean, if you saw Sylvester McCoy and India Fisher in a comedy, I would definitely buy a ticket and go and see this.
Yeah, if it was local, yeah, for sure.
It's not. It's just not funny, I don't think.
It's appallingly unfunny.
And even India Fisher, okay, love her in Winter the Fee Adept, love her as Charlie Pollard, and she saved Earthsearch for us, didn't she? Oh, well, for me...
She was the best thing about
Earthsearch. But unfortunately, even India Fisher in this cannot save it.
I mean, I thought she did what she could with terrible script.
She's doing a northern accent.
Yeah.
And it's... Do
you know what the problem was? Right, this is supposed to be... It's basically a sex comedy.
It's a sex comedy.
It's a relationship comedy with a lot of sex in it. And both leads, so Tess and Mickey, are so fucking unlikable. They're so horrible. I was like, why should I be invested in either character?
Because it starts off like... I mean, there's loads of classic comedies. Like George and Mildred, for example, is a bit of a couple comedy, isn't it?
George and Mildred which is gold compared to this.
And you have that trope of...
Can you do a George and Mildred
the misunderstanding
joke, please? Come on. Go on.
George, you are not giving me enough. £5 spending money a week. How am I supposed to get there?
I did laugh once during Fly Me to the Moon, but you just made me laugh with one quote.
So you've got this opening of this classic someone's talking about one thing, someone's talking about the other thing. So she's like, "Oh, I'm lying here naked. Are you ready for me?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just in the bathroom washing it, my love."
No, wait. They start. He goes, right.
What position do you want me in, love?
Can you put yourself in this position? So, like, the inference is she's tying up her legs behind her head or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's going, "Oh, I should get danger money for this."
Yeah.
And he's going, "Oh, how am I going to squeeze that in there?" And I'm going, "Oh, this is scene one, and it's already just terrible."
And you think, obviously, she's getting, but he's painting her portrait and he's washing his paintbrush, not his dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, anyway, so they're this couple, and it goes, you have these little short scenes of the couple, and then they go and see Sylvester McCoy, who is the counsellor, who is rolling his R's, and he's being his, he's not playing the spoons, but he might as well be. It's that kind of Sylvester McCoy you get in this.
It is. Now, look, I'm going to talk about Sylvester McCoy. I've got several talking points that I want to say about this.
Okay, go for it.
And, well, why do things? Okay, so because you mentioned Sylvester McCoy, let's start there. Mm-hmm. One of my talking points is, why does Sylvester McCoy play so many perverts in this?
He's not a pervert in this.
He is. He's got... So, the counsellor's got this wife who's 30 years younger than him, right? Her name is Inga.
Yeah.
And he keeps going, "My wife, Inga, she's lying topless in the garden. She's 30 years younger than me, you know."
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, we had a great holiday."
That's basically...
She's 30 years younger, that's his catchphrase.
That's basically his one joke. And I think that's the one joke that lands.
Yeah, it does actually. It's quite funny.
Because he always says when they're finishing a therapy session, you need to look out into the garden and see the sunshine. And so we do that for the first time. And then on the next session, he goes, "Right, look out into the garden, see the sunshine, see the grass, see my wife sunbathing topless." "Oh no, Inga, what are you doing?" Yeah. Now that was the funniest joke in the whole thing, and that was about 5 minutes in, so we were in trouble after that.
You just reminded me of something. When I worked at the co-op, there was this girl called Mandy, right?
She
was like blonde, and she on her lunch break, she's like, "Right, I'm going to go home now. I'm going to sunbathe topless in my garden." And my manager, he went, "Oh, I'll get my binoculars out then, shall I?"
No. Oh my God. Sexual harassment case. Did she sue?
That was back in the day. No, she was hilarious.
Back in the day, Jesus. But like, we recently watched Sylvester McCoy in, what was it called? The Zero Imperative,
BBV.
Well, he was playing a bit of a pervert in that as well, wasn't he?
He wasn't a pervert. He kissed a girl. Doesn't mean he's a pervert.
Well, every time he's trying to be a bit sinister and weird, when he's very eccentric, he comes across like a pervert.
Yeah, but he's not when he plays the doctor. He's not a pervert. When he's being like,
"Excuse me,
I hear you barking." He's not being a pervert in that, is he?
I didn't think there could be a performance worse than Sylvester
There will
McCoy.
be no battle here.
I don't know if you recall, but in Bang Bang a Boom, he's shoving himself in Patricia Quinn's tits, going,
not there yet.
"Angvia, your armpits."
He's not that bad in
Angvia.
this. He's not that bad in this, but it's.
Do you know, it's weird. It's just weird seeing him not playing the Doctor. I think hearing his voice is so synonymous with him playing the Doctor.
It's because he's doing those eccentric-y, doctory things.
Because the biggest gag with him is that his counsellor has more issues than the people he's actually giving therapy to. So when, and again, this is played as a joke, but it don't land, when Mickey and Tess decide that they just want to be mates and they don't need therapy anymore, then he goes on this mad rant. "Oh, you think you can solve your own problems, do you? I get amazing results as a counsellor." And he goes on, and I'm like, oh, this is just agonising. Like the characterisation is so obvious, isn't it?
I mean, it's a 40-50 minute play. That's it.
We listened to the One Doctor recently, and we said it felt like 10 minutes. This was 40 minutes. This felt like 40 hours. We were sitting in a cafe in Brighton listening to this, and I couldn't buy enough cups of coffee to get through it. I tell you.
I should have said it as well earlier. It's directed by Nicholas Briggs with music by Alistair Locke.
The one redeeming... Actually, no, even the music, because, right, it keeps cutting to... So the structure of this thing is that during the therapy sessions, we cut back to when Tess and Mickey first met. And you're supposed to think it's going to be a great romance, and it's not, is it? He's in the toilet shooting it up or something, and then she comes in and threatens to thump him. So they're like horrible to each other from the very start.
They're not none of them are likeable characters. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, well,
they're not.
So like the best romance comedies, think of something like When Harry Met Sally or something like that. Like the best romance comedy, they have really warm, likeable characters that you want to get together.
Well, even like One Foot in the Grave or something, you have sympathy and emotion for the characters.
Yeah.
Here, this is why, because I was like, oh, it's India Fisher, but she's just this horrible.
She's
like,
horrible to him. And
oh, do you want a shag then?
so she's really fucking. She's crass and a bit nasty.
He's even worse,
but
though.
then he's a bit pathetic.
And he's like, oh, and isn't she's got a mate or something? They're out in the disco, or when they first meet, he's like, oh, you're not even going to give me a blowjob or something like that. It's just.
Excuse me, I've got the exact line here. I suppose a blowjob's out of the question, is what she says.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Can you believe this? India Fisher says at one point, she's talking about somebody that her friend's copped off with, and she goes, down there, he's got a bit of a horse's handbrake.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. It's it's
terrible.
cringy.
Yeah.
It really is.
And I think Fly Me to the Moon did actually make me reach an epiphany.
Oh.
I think I realised, and bear in mind this is coming from me, who don't mind a double entendre or two, I don't like sex comedy. Because I was trying to think, what other sex comedies are out there? And so I was thinking of things like Coupling, which I thought was agonising as well.
No, I don't like that.
And Sex in the City, which I also thought was a bit agonising and a bit obvious.
So there's different ways to, like, I like a more, like I said, Man About the House, George and Mildred, Are You Being Served type thing.
They're not
But they're
sex comedies, are they?
But they're
They're
sort of, they've got
situation
similar
comedies.
kind of jokes, but the way that they do, this is so very in your face and obvious.
Do you know what it is?
It's not
It's
even...
like being thrown in the face by a bucket of water. So they was right, weren't they?
It's just, yeah, that's what doesn't land. It's just so obvious, and it's just not.
And
that
all
type
the
of
sex
comedy.
gags aren't clever gags.
No, they're not. That's
just
it. They're not.
pointed.
They're
and
right at
a
you
bit,
in your face. They're
a
just
bit
obvious.
disgusting.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Something like Are You
I
Being
can't believe you're
Served?
saying this.
No, something like Are You Being Served?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's all kind of veiled a bit, isn't it?
it is. Yes.
And like, oh, my, at the slightest hint of danger, my pussy's hair stands right on end, or things like that. And it's fun, but there's none of that here.
But here it's just like she's just like, oh no, I'm okay. I'm quite happy to be, on my own. Vibrator. It just cuts. It just cuts to that, doesn't it? Which is just.
Can we pause there for a second? Because I just think to myself, I could possibly go through my entire life without listening to India Fisher getting herself off, masturbating with a vibrator.
We can listen to Charlie Pollard ever again.
I'll tell you what. I was right. I could have lived without that.
I know.
Worse, it then cuts to her fucking other people and then having lesbian sex.
Oh, she does, doesn't she? Yeah.
I'm like, what? And this is all in my ears. It's in the ears. I can't unhear this.
Oh my God.
Okay, would you like to hear some? I've got other talking points about this. Okay, so what's his name? Mark Brailsford. Is that the fellow who wrote this and acted in this?
The writer, Mark Brailsford.
So I question having writers and actors having the writer acting in the same thing. I think you're a bit too close to the project to write and act in it. I don't know what you think about that. I'm going to call it the Nick Briggs effect, because basically in every Nick Briggs script, he turns up at some point, doesn't he? Like in Dalek Empire, we were saying, and I'm sure we'll have, other examples going ahead. And I'm wondering if perhaps Mark Brailsford, who's written this sparkling script, should have just handed that role over to somebody else. Because I didn't feel any chemistry between them.
No, I didn't. No, there wasn't. There was nothing between the actors.
So I got me to thinking, like, what's the point of this? Like, what? Like, when you watch a play, generally speaking, it's trying to make a point, or it's trying to make you, or it throw an idea in the air and it makes you think about it in the story that unfolds, and then you go home talking about it, Like, what was that play we saw recently, Relatively Speaking, by Alan Ayckbourn? Now, that was a relationship comedy, wasn't it? Very, very funny. Everyone was having an affair with everyone and nobody knew about it, and everybody thought they were each other's sons and daughters and things, and there was all this crazy stuff going on. And in the end, we were trying to untangle it all on the way home. Well, we turned this off and we went, well, thank fuck that's over with. Because I don't know what the point is. Was the point of this relationships are toxic? Because that's what their relationship was. But then I don't think that's a very nice point to make.
But
Relationships
spoilers,
are
they did
wonderful.
get together in the end. And spoilers, Sylvester McCoy tries to kill himself. But a picture falls on his head and he dies instead.
But then,
like that.
but then go back to One Foot in the Grave. One Foot in the Grave has an episode where there's a suicide attempt, and somehow they make it very funny. Or like, do you remember episode 2 where they go to the health and fitness class? Victor's like, oh, well, I better try and get fit now I'm retired. And halfway through the class, the instructor drops dead. And he goes, she can't be dead. She's a bloody health and fitness instructor. It's very funny. Whereas McCoy trying to kill himself. Does he try to hang himself?
No, he tries to shoot himself.
Oh, God, yeah. He's playing Russian roulette with a gun, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, suddenly it's gone very serious, but they're still doing jokes.
It's very strange.
Go on.
Well, I don't know what else to say about it. Just that we've listened to it, so you don't have to.
Well, I also think there was a bit of an inference here that counsellors exploit couples.
Well,
because they do. He's charging a lot of money for this.
He's like, oh, I think you should see. We should
have another session.
Have appointments with me separately. That's and it's obviously double the money.
£150.
Yeah, and then he goes off on these expensive holidays with his wife, who's 30 years younger.
Okay, towards the end, towards the climax, there was something sort of cohering, because at one point, India Fisher character goes, well, what's the point of all this if we're not enjoying being together? And I thought, okay, so maybe that's where this is heading, but that goes nowhere. And then the conclusion is, I'd rather keep a friend than lose a lover. That's what they decide in the end.
Yeah.
Is that they'd rather be friends. Well, that's not very satisfying, is it? It's like, well,
no, but they get married in the end, though.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I must have missed that bit.
It was at Sylvester McCoy's funeral.
Oh, it's funny you saying it than how it played out. Can I ask you then what you think of? What do you think about Big Finish sort of branching out and doing these things? Because obviously later down the line we get the drama showcases.
You get drama showcase, and then you get Big Finish originals.
What's the originals? Give me an example of the originals.
Shilling in Sixpence, Blind Terror.
What's the drama showcase?
Not a Well Woman with Katie Manning. Right. They've already played Pulling Faces, Conversations with an Acid Bath Murderer. They're already established plays and things that they do in recordings of.
So I think I've listened to the first episode of Blind Terror. You put that on, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I've listened to Not a Well Woman.
Yeah.
Well, both of those are infinitely superior to this.
Yeah. Well, I think... I mean, there's no need. Where are we? 2001, still in our listening order. I think it was just a random one-off thing. They wanted to, as I say, BBV stuff, where let's not make Doctor Who. Let's try and branch out. Maybe they sold this. Maybe this was on Radio 4 or something. I think with the originals and the drama showcase, and Atta Girl and stuff like that, I think they've, as they go on, and as Doctor Who changes and the licenses change and stuff, they've always had to have an eye on, if we lose Doctor Who, what are we going to make and what other... That's why they branched off in. So
do you think they're successful with it?
I don't think so, because at the end of the day, people want Doctor Who and they want to buy stuff on CD. They don't want these download only original things. They're nice if you... And we haven't got time to listen to... I mean, I'm saying that we haven't got time. We're going to. People generally, they want to pick up their favourite Doctor, companion, listen to it, or they want to collect the stuff. Adding all this other stuff...
I mean, I'm assuming if those
they're hoping there's another audience out just to be known as we create audio drama, not just Doctor Who audio drama. I think they've just had their eye on other stuff.
But if this
as it goes on,
and the drama showcase and all of that, if they were making tons of money, well, they'd still be making them now, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and it's interesting that not many of them have went to second series.
Yeah.
And Fly Me to the Moon...
I think Atta Girl won an award, didn't it?
It did, and that's what they've done another series of it. Yeah. But some of them are just, one-off things.
I mean, I admire them for stretching their wings.
But they always have that cast, that Doctor Who-y kind of cast. All the people that they know, aren't they, to do it. And maybe, Sylvester McCoy happened to be free. As I say, India Fisher will probably do anything at this point. So
I mean, I'll summarise this as, for the first third, I was like, oh, this is really terrible. Like... I'm really going to enjoy this on this is terrible level. The second third, I was like, oh God, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. When is this going to be
finish,
over?
yes.
And then the third, I was scrolling my phone and drinking coffee, and I was writing notes, but very laxly. Like, this is the worst thing we've listened to so far.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
But I'm glad we listened to it because I've always wanted to know what it was like.
Because it's not Doctor Who.
No, it's just terrible because I love a comedy. I love all these different,
Well, you and I just did The One Doctor, which was a hugely successful, very witty, very charming, very funny. This is none of that.
I can't believe people went to go and actually see this live.
I can't believe they clapped those jokes. But maybe
someone was telling them to clap.
If it was a Saturday night in Brighton, they might all have been pissed.
I think it was like a fringe theatre thing. Come and see a new.
I mean, India Fisher
was.
We listened to a brief snippet of India Fisher talking in the Eighth Doctor interview recently, didn't we? She was saying she'd been up to Edinburgh Fringe and she'd done a bit of comedy. Paul McGann's going, "You've been doing comedy?" He's absolutely appalled, isn't he? He's going, "What, do you do dancing?" And she goes, "Oh no." She goes, "I can barely do the comedy. And this is the proof."
It's just not. And maybe if it was cast differently, I think this was which actors that we know in our pool of Doctor Who things can be in it.
No, I don't.
Rather than let's cast some comedy actors or some other people with a bit of chemistry.
Why? I don't agree with that because I think Bang Bang Boom, Sylvester McCoy is very funny, and I think I'm trying to think of a comedy starring India Fisher. What's a really funny? Oh my God, yeah. What's that one with Colin Baker where it's got the Grail in it?
The Doomwood Curse.
Yeah, she's very funny in that. And in Rain Clown Man. She's funny in quite a few stories. Other Lives. She's with Ron Moody. No, but I'm just saying, McCoy and Fisher can do comedy, but the script's got to be there. It's got to be funny. Maybe if this was written by Jack Rayner or someone like that, who's very funny.
Well, oh gosh. I mean, we have missed it out we should have done it probably at the same time, but in October 2001, Mark Brailsford also wrote another comedy that is here called The Treason Show, a bit of treason on the side. A hit comedy sketch show recorded live at the Comedia in Brighton.
Oh, God.
Featuring the Saddam brothers.
Oh, God.
This is completely out of print and not available. We haven't got it, so we're not going to do it.
It's probably because it's too fucking offensive. The Saddam brothers.
There's a picture of them as well.
What do they look like? Saddam Hussein?
Yes. Oh, no. This is the hit comedy sketch show recorded live at the Comedia in Brighton. The Treason Show cast set out on a voyage of discovery to see how far they can go before they get arrested.
Can I just say, if Mark Brailsford got a second stab after Fly Me to the Moon at the Comedia...
Fly Me to the Moon is his second stab.
Oh, after this, then. It must have been a quiet season at the Comedia in Brighton. Oh dear. Let's see what else.
There are some random things that Big Finish have done.
Oh, I also said as well, sorry, Alistair, but I think you kept using the same club music for every club scene.
I mean, the sound design, it's not amazing.
Great.
It's just, we're in a disco, there's a dumph in the background.
Though,
that's all.
Was when they keep talking about this man's massive penis being like a horse's handbrake. And at one point, Alistair Locke goes clip clop.
No, he doesn't.
He does. I wrote it down.
Oh no.
And they've got the bed springs going because I made them note of that. There's lots of bed springs boinking as they're bonking. And there was this very, very strange moment, this really awkward juxtaposition of comedy, where they're talking about the suicide of a trans patient that the counsellor had, and that he'd left him a load of underwear. So it was trying to be topical and tragic and funny.
Yes.
And it just missed it by a mile. I mean, it came across as being... Not transphobic.
It was 20 years ago.
But it was very thoughtless.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was winching, going, oh no, McCoy, stop talking.
Well, let's keep this short then. Let's just say this is better.
It's half an hour long, this already.
This is better kept in the vault. Don't worry about listening to this one, everybody. Even if you can find it, whatever you do, spend a lot of money trying to find this on CD. I got it on eBay for like £5.
I don't know why I've written down the line, Daisy pulls it off.
Oh, because because he's going to paint her at the beginning, and he's like, "Oh, this is going to be sexy. I can paint your ass, and our grandchildren can see it and stuff." And she's like, "Oh, I thought you were going to join me with the video camera and recreate a scene of Daisy pulls it up." Oh, that's what it was.
And I've written down another line as well, which I think maybe it was trying to get at some point. What if men and women are incompatible? So I think
they did go sort of have a little bit of discussion.
Trying to draw some kind of a conclusion, but it doesn't settle on anything.
No, in the background there is some kind of discussion. I mean, "Fly Me to the Moon," is that because it's called? Because she says men are from
Mars and women are from Venus. Yeah.
Are they saying "fly to the moon" because that's like halfway, or "let's just go to the moon" or something? Is that why it's called that?
I don't think they even draw conclusions about that, I mean, the only conclusion I got from this, it reminded me of a very toxic 6-month relationship I once had that was very similar to this, and no amount of counselling was going to sort that out, just like it did for them. I mean, you don't want to listen to people going through the rough. You might as well watch EastEnders, mightn't you? Watch people getting roast dinner shoved in their face and things.
Maybe it was funnier if you watched them in person doing gestures.
There was still this script, wasn't it? Maybe the bucket of water made a difference.
Maybe. I don't think I even heard that.
Well, look, I say, because this is our second sort of branch off with Earth Search Mind Warp.
Oh, this is a completely different category.
But Earth Search Mind Warp
was good.
Had a bit of imagination to it, and the sound design was a lot better.
I never thought I would listen to something and say India Fisher's bad.
Wow. That is a condemnation. I mean, I always thought I'd listen to something and say Sylvester McCoy was bad. I actually don't think he was terrible.
He was just being Sylvester McCoy.
And as you know, I have sort of come around to Sylvester McCoy on audio quite a lot. No, I've not come over Sylvester McCoy.
I've never said anything.
I've come around to him being quite sophisticated on audio. He can be really good. But after listening to, what was our last one, McCoy? Cold It's. And now Fly Me to the Moon. I think we might be in the rough patch. We've got the Rapture coming up next.
McCoy, he didn't have a great millennium.
But don't you worry, Philip Olivia's on the way, and it's all going to get a lot hotter after that.
Wow. Okay, are we done?
I'm going to say this. Don't buy and listen to Fly Me to the Moon.
No, I said
just listen to us talking about it.
Yeah.
Because I think
that's all you need.
I don't know if it's more enjoyable because we've just slagged it off for half an hour, but at least it's...
I think everybody knows how bad this already is.
If we sort of cut this off in 2 minutes' time, at least it's 10 minutes shorter than Fly Me to the Moon.
Yeah, okay. Well, there we are. Thanks for listening, everybody, about this.
Where are we going next?
Okay, next, we've got 2 little Doctor Who releases.
Little?
Little ones. Yes.
Not the size of a horse's handbrake.
No. Oh, God. So we're doing the 2...
can I ask you?
Yeah.
When women do masturbate with vibrators, do they scream like India Fisher did in this?
I don't know.
She's going, yes! Oh, yes! No, do they... I mean, then what will the neighbours think? Well, what will they think? I've just said... What will the neighbours think right now?
What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so next time we're going to do... the Doctor Who magazine freebies.
What? No one had to pay for them?
No, they came free attached to the front of your Doctor Who magazine. So we're doing
little wallets.
Yeah. So we're doing Last of the Titans, starring Sylvester McCoy.
What's that about?
And the Ratings War.
Oh.
Colin Baker.
Beep beep beep.
Okay, don't start because you're going to do this so much next time. You're going to do this every time. So obviously we don't have any chronology or Doctor Who reviews on this one, or a quiz. I can't do a quiz. Imagine if we did a quiz on this.
Ding, 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 ding. That's us coming down like the first Doctor in the 3 Doctors.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, we're just adding this extra little bit. We are recording way after we recorded the first bit.
That's right.
Because I'd
all but erased Fly Me to the Moon from my mind, and now this is bringing it all back into sharp focus.
Well, we had to do this because when we were talking about it, we were like, there's nothing else about it. We didn't really know how it came about or anything really behind the scenes for it.
No.
And then after we recorded, I picked up the CD, and there's a whole bit in the booklet that we should have read before we even...
That's very unlike you know.
I know.
Normally, you look at these CDs inside out, you get really excited about the the advent calendar picture that's at the back. Is there one on this one? There is. It's a picture of Sylvester McCoy and India Fisher.
Anyway, I thought we better add a little bit more of extra.
A little bit of
actual
extra
information
detail.
about it.
Okay.
So there is a bit by Jason Haig-Ellery that he wrote in the cover.
As you're reading this, would you mind if I interject with comments?
Absolutely.
Okay,
So this
go.
is what he says about Fly Me to the Moon, the only word on the street. Comedy is hard work. I was told that at the start by a gentleman with a BAFTA and a silver rose of Montreal, wherever.
What?
Anyway, it takes an age to write, is hell to direct, and requires the producer to hold everyone's hand and reassure them that the audience will laugh.
Excuse me. This did not take an age to write. I hope not.
Hold on.
It was probably hell to direct.
Thankfully, they did. A lot. Most of that's down to Mark Brailsford and his great ideas.
Oh, God.
You know you're onto a winner when you're at the Edinburgh Festival and the reviewer of The Scotsman is laughing her head off and scribbling in her pad like a mad thing.
Is the reviewer of The Scotsman usually a woman of great discernment then? Maybe she was pissed. Edinburgh Festival, she was up north.
Well, after a highly successful run at the festival...
Oh, whatever.
Fly Me to the Moon transferred to the Man in the Moon Theatre in London and later went into hibernation. It was always my intention to make a recording of the play. I guess a near 3-month run was a good way of honing our first comedy before we got into the studio. This ran for 3 months.
And this was done in the studio? Before we got into the studio?
hold on. With the excellent help of everyone at the Comedia, Nick Briggs lending a fresh eye and a vast understanding of what works well on audio, and Alistair Locke performing the odd technical miracle, we seemed to have a show. I think it meant like the studio, as in they recorded it. They did do it in front of a live audience.
Right.
Did I mention the actors? India was an obvious choice. A great talent and very funny. Sylvester didn't need much persuading, especially as his wife was to be blonde, Swedish and 30 years younger.
Oh, no.
Nicola and Lee were just outraging us with their jokes, so we enjoyed doing this and we hope you enjoy listening to it. So in all purposes, a successful run at the Edinburgh Festival.
Can I ask if there are any
It wasn't just a one-off.
Finish Big out there that went and saw Fly Me to the Moon during its 3-month run in Edinburgh and London, was it?
I think, yeah.
And then Brighton. Would you please... Oh, look, there's reviews on the back as well.
Do you want a couple of reviews? Okay.
Oh, can I read these, please? Come on. Okay. Upbeat romantic comedy, a sparky script, a splendid spoof, enough to put you in touch with your inner opal fruit. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Inner opal fruit?
I ain't got one.
I've never had something in me that feels like an opal fruit. Just when you thought no play would ever do that to you again. Bonnie, the Scotsman.
Bonnie Lee. Is that a made-up name? Bonnie Lee for the Scotsman.
Is the Scotsman a prestige newspaper?
I think it's Scotland, maybe.
Oh, okay. Like Nicola Sturgeon probably reads that, doesn't she? With the aid of a witty script and a few surprises, the nature of love is explored. And it's certainly entertaining. Kirsty Nags, The List. Okay, well, look, I'm going to say this, yeah? If people went along to see this live and had a great night, good for you, folks.
Who are we to disagree? I just don't think it needed to be on CD.
No, it is terrible.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not.
No, it is.
Just because
No, it
Jason
is.
Jason Hay-Ellery is telling me this had a 3-month successful run does not mean... I mean, I'm sure there's many a shit play that's had a 3-month successful run. You think some of those West End musicals that are dire, they've had, 20-year runs.
Okay, well, we've said previously
Did you ever see
everything else.
Cats?
No.
Oh, awful.
That's the film, though.
No, and the play.
Oh, on the play. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
loads of people on their hands and knees, Bonnie Langford, singing their heart off. That ran for 25 years.
Anyway, that's our little extra bit, just to add a bit behind the scenes. We've had our rant about Fly Me to the Moon already. I won't get stressed out about it.
Why are you patting me like that, trying to calm me down?
Anyway, cuts.
But it's still shit.